I'm happy to announce a talk of our dear friend Carlos about the Cyberbass. So please have a warm round of welcome for Carlos.
Thank you very much. So let's have some cyber fun, okay? So my name is Carlos Montoro, and I'm luthier in Spain. That's some example of my guitars. There are another ones. They might be simple or not simple, but straightforward, just regular guitars. But the evil is always in the details. So that one over there has a system to switch between the pickups all the way, so you can have all the range from one pickup to another. And the other one is actually printed. It's not handmade. It's not airbrushed. The thing is printed. And what makes it a little bit hard to do is that the guitar has a belly. So when you try to print in something that is three-dimensional, it's a little bit hard. So how I started to work with Martin. So let's see if I can. Okay. So in the Marvel Machine X episode 54, Martin asked for some help. He wanted to make a new instrument called the on-the-phone, and he made this little sketch. So I applied to help him to do this string instrument, and we start working together with other people like Chris and Florian, who actually made a prototype of this. You can see down there, maybe you are familiar with. And while working with the on-the-phone, at some time Martin asked me to start working with the bass of the MMX. So for a little bit of time, we do both. I was working on the phone as well as on the bass. These ones are the first sketches that I made for the Cyberbass. And as you can see, funny thing is that the one on the left is the first sketch. Funny thing is that at that time, I had form from faction mindset that maybe you are familiar with now. So Martin and I we weren't in the same mind state, let's say. So when I present this first sketch, the thing is, it's very ugly, but it made the job. For example, the neck, it didn't have any curvature on it, so it was way more simple than a regular bass. But what Martin told me is that he wanted something that resembles to a real bass. So I went for the second sketch that already has a complete real neck. This was taken actually from a Gibson Reaper, if you're familiar with the brand. And the shape of the body is just a little bit like in the first machine. And the weird cut that you see on the right side of it is the space that we made for the on-the-phone, because the on-the-phone was going to be placed right there. So this one, it didn't went well again. So Martin decided to buy a real bass and then make the modifications on it. So I came with the idea that I was going to make some kind of DeLorean for Back to the Future film. So they bought a real DeLorean and they placed everything in there. So with that mindset, now Martin and I, we were in the same place. So the work started to go more easily. So, but the thing is that we have, well, I had to decide which base we are going to buy for the Cyberbass. And I was looking a lot for bases, and finally I decided to use this one, the Sterling Stay Grey Fab 2 series, which is a sub-brand of the more famous Music Man bass. And why did I choose this one? Well, it has a big body. It also has one pickup, and the cavity of the electronics is small. That way, I had like a lot of space because I didn't know at the time what is going to be placed in there. So I had a lot of space to play with. Also, the scale length of the bass is 34 inches, which is the scale length of mostly all the basses. So that also resembles to a normal bass. It has 5 strings, but the Cyberbass actually it has only 4 strings. But we needed that extra space in the fretboard to allow the marbles to how to say it. If you use a normal 4-string fretboard, the fretboard is not going to be wide enough for the 4 strings, for the 4 marbles to be dropped. So you need a little bit more space. So converting this 5-string bass into 4-string, that gives us the space that we needed. It has like the Fenderish shapes that, at least for me, when I think in a bass guitar, it always came to my mind the Fender Jazz Bass or Precision Bass shape, and this is very kind of. And also it was not expensive because, well, maybe we could go for the real Music Man for 3,000, but there is no need for that. And we were going to make a lot of things on it, and it's going to be completely different at the end. So why do you use something expensive if something cheaper is going to work as well? Now that I had decided which bass I was going to use, the most important thing that always I had in mind was the bouncing point. Because at the end of the day, if the marble goes into the string and doesn't go anywhere or the thing doesn't work, it could be very beautiful, but it's going to be for nothing. So all the things that I did in the bass are all around the bouncing points, that you can set up the bouncing point and then you can leave it as there, and the marbles go straight to the point and to the funnel all the time, 100% all the times. So for achieving that, for example, we made the Cyberwings. This is when I have to talk about Philippe, who made all the mathematics of the bouncing of the marbles into the bass. So he made the calculations of the arc of the marble dropping and then the bouncing and how it was going to go into the funnel, and the angle of the bass, how it was going to be tilted. And he also designed the Cyberwings, which are the spacers that are between the strings to keep the marbles. These things guides the marbles into the string and then guides them again out of the bass. Okay. He also made the base for the 5 Cyberwings, and you have there a picture of how it's meant to be, but maybe you can take a look at the real thing over there. This is a test, but I'm afraid that the video in here doesn't work. Oh, there you go. This is the first test that I made. You can see everything is wooden, the Pickguard and all the stuff, and the Cyberwings were 3D printed, but because Philippe made all the calculations and everything was planned as it should, just in the first test, the marble did what it should do. So it was very special for me to see this. I was very relaxed when it happened. Now, as I said, I had a 5-string bass that I had to change into 4-string bass. And you have here the measures that I made for the nut. There are 2 ways to do things. To do this, you can use what we call equal string spacing. That is used when your string instrument has more or less the same diameter in all of the strings, because it's a little bit easier to make it this way. As you can see in classical guitars, the spacing between the strings is always the same, it's consistent. The other way that you can set up a nut is to center the center of the strings. So what is going to be all the time the same is the center of each string. If you have an instrument with very different diameter between the strings, you need to go that way. It's subtle, but it is there. If you go in the nut, maybe it's not much different, but if you look here down in the left, you see the point on the left right up is right in the middle, but in the bottom side, the button is moved a little bit. That gives you the idea that the spacing between the strings is different, because what you are looking for is to center the middle of the string. So what I did is to go to center the middle of the strings, because if I had the nut and the spacing in the nut is all the same, and I use the first method, I have the bouncing points over there, but if I change the diameter of the strings later on, and that's something that Martin probably wanted to do at some point, then the bouncing point is going to change. It's not going to be in the same spot. So to make his life a little easier, if I use the other system and I equal the center of the string, then whatever the diameter he uses for the bass, maybe he wanted to change even the tuning of the thing and go a little bit lower or a little bit higher, then the center of the bouncing spot is going to be in the same place. So he hasn't had to do anything to change the setup of the bass. Now that we have sorted the nut and we have at first our bouncing points, it's time to think for the bridge. And there was of the saddle of the self, there was a bridge that made everything that we needed to, which is this hipshot kick-ass that I have here. It's this one. So this one made everything we wanted. You can set the intonation with the screw and the spring that is over there, but also you can move the string sideways with the copper thing. That thing has a screw that locks it in place, that you can screw and move the thing and tighten it again, and it's going to be in place. So the string, the Cyberbass, can be set up in the 3 dimensions. But this thing, as it is now, because we changed from 5 string to 4 strings, this is way too narrow. We need something wider. So actually what I did is to reverse engineer this completely, and I made a copy of this that I have here. This is 3D printed. And if you compare the size, it's just exactly the same thing, but it's wider. So this is the size that you actually need for the Cyberbass. And then Tim, from the E-Team, he made another one from steel, another bridge from steel, that is the actual bridge that you can see on the MMX now. Now, everything that is, let's say, analog in the base is already set up and done. And now it's time to move for the electronics. Martin did pickups. Martin ordered some pickups from Lundgren, but we realized that those pickups were too big. There was two problems with the pickups. One was the actual space that you have for the strings. The space in the Cyberbass is too tight. It's very little. It's very small. But also there was because the pickups are placed parallel to the string. If the pickup is too long, the sound of some strings is hollow, like something missing in the sound. So we needed something that was short and not very wide. The space was too tight. So with B&B pickups, we designed this one. That made the job. It is a humbucker pickup. If you are familiar with the guitar electronics, you know that there's two types of pickups, single and humbucker. Single usually have some hum sound on it, and humbuckers are more silent. So we went from this pickup here, which is the original from the bass, to this one. And this small one sounds even with more volume than this one. So we made some prototypes with these sides, and when I went there to France, Martin chose which one he likes more, and then we made the final ones, which are the ones in the picture. And you can see here the how to say it in English? Well, the volume that the pickups will have eventually, and how it is set up into the Pickguard. The function of the Pickguard is to have all the electronics on it, so it's easy to remove all the electronics from the Cyberbass, to work with it, and then to place it again. It's not very common in electric guitars or basses to have absolutely everything in the Pickguard. You normally have something in the Pickguard or something that is attached directly to the wood. That way, it wasn't very practical for the MMX. So keeping everything into the Pickguard made everything a little bit easier to work with. Here you can see the wiring, which is also in Fusion. It may be a little bit complicated, but in fact it's too easy to understand. Electronically speaking, the Cyberbass is not one single instrument, but it's 4 instruments, 1 per string. So you can turn on and off each string individually. So for that, you have to have 4 volumes and 4 outputs. But as I said, it may be messy looking at the picture, but it's just the pickup going to a potentiometer that controls the volume, and then to its output, duplicated 4 times. It's a picture of the actual picker that is just like this in the Cyberbass now. That picture on the right, as you can see, had some holes in the left of the bass and some holes in the right of the Pickguard. But you can see the marble right below the hi-hat. So this configuration was thought in the beginning. The ones on the right was the volumes, the both volumes, and the ones of the left was the output jacks. So because we didn't have space enough, we decided to move everything to the right. which is what you have seen in the previous picture. So far, we have talked about the, let's say, the real bass thing, and then from now on, we are going to talk about the add-ons that we made later when I left France. So when I was there and we placed the bass, we soon realized that the thing needed a little bit more add-ons to work properly, because, for example, it was very hard to play with it and to make chords with it, and that, in our opinion, was a must-have. The ability to have chords in the Cyberbass could leave Martin a little bit more free to do all the stuff, maybe with the xylophone or with the drums. So we soon came with the idea of the Cybercapos. The Cybercapos were designed during a lot of months, and at the time the Discord server was already working, so there was a lot of ideas coming into us to make the Cybercapos. The most difficult part of the Cybercapos is that each finger has to cross into another, and it was tricky to design something that made all the job. Also, if you remember the first sketch, when I said that the neck of that sketch was rectangular and it has no curvature, that if we had go that way, these Cybercapos were made more easily, because if you have a normal neck of a bass, you can attach anything into the back of the neck, because the back of the neck has a truss rod that you have to set up. So that made everything a little bit more complicated. But eventually, Martin did the Cybercapos that work like a charm, and maybe we can see, but we have no sound. Okay. There's no sound, so let's move on. You can see some picture of the actual Cybercapos, but the actual thing is over there. And then the other thing that we wanted to add to the bass was what we call the funkalizer. Is that when you play something with the Cyberbass, all the notes on the Cyberbass are long. You can mute the notes in the Cyberbass because you are not there to cut the sound. So why is important to cut the sound? Because otherwise, with the low notes, the sound may be too long. Maybe you can have on-tune notes if you are progressing in the chord progression and that note is still sounding. So you want to have short notes to keep everything in tune. So he made that one, and then I developed this one. It took several months as well, but I just built it, and I placed this in the bass 2 days ago, and it works. It does what it should. And now for me, the Cyberbass is complete. It is done. And that is something that when Martin decided to leave the MMX away, me and other people had the feeling that we had still some work to do on it, that this was going to be an unfinished job. So as me, other people wanted to have the feeling that the thing is already done and finished. So that's what I came here and made the actual funkalizer and placing the Cyberbass, and I was very happy to know that the thing actually works. You can try. It's just maybe later on I can go with you and show you how it works, and you can play with it. But On the way, I wanted to take a minute to talk about the Fusion 360 because it was very important for me to use the CAD software because there is no other way that I could share ideas with Martin. Maybe we could sketch everything in a paper, but it was going to be too long to be explain everything. So with Fusion, the concept were very easy to go to him and have feedback. And I have to say that I learned Fusion 360 during the Cyberbass, that it went to very simple things to very complicated files like this one. And actually, there is a file of the Cyberbass that is 99% accurate, just little things here and there, little angle grinders that has to be also done in the Fusion, but it's almost perfect. And then, as I said, for me the Cyberbass is done, it's complete, but you always have that mindset of this can be a little bit better. So for me, to make a better Cyberbass, there's 4 points to make it a little bit even more Cyberbass. For example, if you have the tuners in the Cyberbass, that will be great for me. The tuners are those black rings that are below the actual knobs. This is something that you can buy. It's called N-Tune. It's an off-the-shelf part. And you push a button and you have the tuner right in your pot. So with 4 of them, you can tune the Cyberbass in place. Also, when I was in France, I soon realized that the Cyberbass needs some kind of handle because it is heavy and it's difficult to handle with it, and a handle would be welcome. And also a noise gate that is a guitar effect that can cut the sound even shorter than the Funkalizer. So it's something that you can combine with the Funkalizer to make even shorter notes. And those, for me, are something that are not mandatory, but the 4th one is mandatory. The Cyberbass needs a marble collector that is going to be placed over the Funkalizer. So if a marble goes into the bass, but it doesn't bounce, or there is a problem, you don't want the marble to mess with the Funkalizer or the bridge or something else. You need something to collect the marble and to guide it into the funnel. And that's something that if these guys here in the museum want to continue with the MMX and want to make really a thing that works, it's going to be needed. And that's all for me. You can follow me on YouTube, where I made some chapters about the Funkalizer. Thank you for being here, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer. Thank you. Also, I'm actually helping Martin making the MM3, but if you have questions or you want to approach to ask something about the Cyberbass, I'll be there and I will be happy to help, okay? So see you. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you.